All right, all right, all right. It is that time of the week again, one of my favorite days of the week, which is Monday. We've all had an opportunity to will, skill, and refill over the weekend, and you're joining us now for Monday Sprint Planning. My name is E.R. Wolf. I'm joined by my business partner, Guy Toole, here at LFI, and it's all about making our plan and executing our plan. So we come on every Monday to really talk to you about the benefits of having a plan and working towards accomplishing that plan. We've taken it, if you followed along thus far, all the way out from that year-long annual goal-setting thing, tracking it all the way down by months, putting those months into weekly action plans, and really focusing every Monday to zero in on the week. And then once you have a plan for the week, to really focus on the present each and every day and getting done what we need to get done. And Guy, you and I were on just beforehand, and it's February 28th, guys. It's the end of February. We're 2 months into the year. I was just looking at the data, Guy, because I'm a math guy. That's 17% of the way through 2022. Sort of weird to think about that, 2/12, 1/6. And we think about that goal process we were talking about and making forward progress towards our goal. And we're going to talk about reflecting back on the previous week and planning the future week. And look, if you haven't gotten started on your goals, that's fine. There's no better time than now to get started. We talk about this all the time. Every single day is a new day. It's a chance to refresh and restart and get replugged in. And today is no different. And I think that's important for anybody. But if you've been working on your goal, Guy, and I keep thinking back on what we read through with James Clear on the atomic habit side, with just implementing 1% improvement every day and reflecting back and sort of that progress curve that he talks about when most of us are thinking linear. Oh my gosh, we're 2 months in on the year. We should be 1/6 of the way towards hitting our goal. And the reality is, if you're even 2% or 5% closer to your goal, you need to pat yourself on the back because you're making forward progress. And it may not be linear, directly and proportionate with the time frame. And I think that's something for everybody to sort of step back and think about, because I know personally I can get discouraged if I sit here and I say, wow, we're 17% into the year. And am I 17 or 20% closer to my goal? Maybe I'm only 15. Don't be discouraged, because there's that chasm of despair that we're all going through as we go towards hitting our goal. And I wanted to call that out, Guy. But what I also want to do is throw it over to you, because I know there are a few sheets that we talk about and we work from on a continual basis. And I know at the end of the day, you speak to it so well. At the end of the day, the plan is about implementing a system that's going to inevitably lead you to your goal.
Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to. If you've got a goal, you can work towards it. You can work towards it blindly, or you can have a plan set to go off and get that. And I think there's so many words in play: a plan, a system, the step-by-step guide. Those are things that will actually help you attain reaching those goals. My quote up here, a Buddha quote: "The mind is everything. What you think is what you become." Mm-hmm. Influence on yourself, being able to understand that my mind is what's going to get me to take the steps in my system to reach my goal. We talk inspirationally all the time, but we shouldn't influence anyone more than they influence themselves. We can be there to be a sounding board. The network, the community is there for a sounding board. But in order for someone to reach their goal, they got to do it themselves. And reaching those goals, it's implementing a system. And implementation is the key, and it's one of the hardest things to stay on track. We're a sixth of the way through the year. How many times have we fired and rehired ourselves these first 2 months? It's multiple times that we've done that, but we come back to work the next day with the right mindset. Yeah, there might be a snowball of things just piling up that we need to get to, but we can't get to those in an order that we have them set out. We've got to have our order from an operational aspect of LFI to make sure that when we do release, when we talk with development, when we talk with design, when we talk with marketing, that things are in place to be able to get things out there. It's nothing like, it used to be with so many companies is they had to have everything in place. And here we are, we might not have things in place, but you see us talking about it. You see us saying that here's the future of, and understanding the future of business. So I'll sort of veer off here is technology. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and he was talking about never bet against technology. You should always bet on technology and implementation of it. His sort of talk was in the mid to late 90s and then the early 2000s when social platforms started to come about. He's like, how many people did you talk to? He's like, I'm never going to have Facebook. I'm never going to have Instagram. I'm not going to get on LinkedIn. I'm not going to have email. I'm not going to get a cell phone that somebody can call me all the time. I've got a pager. If they need to get a hold of me, they can page me, and then I can pick the phone up and give them a call. And here, those are people that were saying they're not going to yet. I would wager almost every one of them has fallen into understanding that they've got to be a part of technology. Same thing sort of happens here with what we hope everyone can be entitled to understand, that they've got a system in play that is technology, that there's just a better way. We talk about people with these. I'm not going to have anything but a paper one. Well, I think we all have digital ones who are all on right now and who are going to be watching later. But there's just a simpler, better way to do it based on reaching your goals, attaining, building clients, customers, being able to have content out there that's readily available and consumable for anyone, because when they bet in 99, 2000 that they weren't going to have these, they sure have them, and you can deliver your information to them pretty seamlessly today.
And I think that's it. We talked a lot about this on Friday, Guy, with technology and the technology revolution that's going on all around us. I think, the first thing I think about when I'm thinking about my plan for the week is, am I leveraging this technology? I've got it at my disposal. Am I leveraging it? And have I built something worth sharing? And am I following up with the relationships that I'm managing within the technology? And I think this goes back to, what we talk about as the win list. You talked about all the things that you've got on your plate. And we've all got a lot of stuff on our plate, everybody, right? There's noise, there's chaos going on all around us. But take an opportunity to make your win list. What's important right now? Guy and I are always focused on the future of the business and what we're working on and working towards. And what's important right now can change on a daily basis. But you need to look at every day when you get up and you go to attack your plan for that day, because you've already done it for the week. Now you're just focused on the day. You're looking at what's important right now. Is there somebody I need to share some information with? Is there somebody I need to follow up with? Are there new leads I'm going to be generating today? How am I going to be doing that? And you take an opportunity. It takes maybe 5 minutes in the morning after you have your plan, Guy, to take a look at what you got going on the docket for the day and mentally get prepared for all of those things, right? I know I've got a few lives that I'm jumping on today. I know I've got a few task items that I need to take care of. I know I'm going to support on some other issues, and that's going to make up the day. I know I have things that I've done since this morning, and it's just part of implementing that system. Guy, I know you and I were talking about this a little bit ago. Everybody gets fixated on these long-term goals, but what about just looking at your daily plan and your weekly plan as setting goals as well? If you like to be in that goal mind frame, then I'll tell you what winning the week is like. Winning the week is winning more days than losing days. And how do you win the day? It's by striking through the items that are the scheduled meetings or events that you need to attend to and the other action items that you need to take care of. But you're not going to be able to strike through those things if you haven't taken an opportunity to put them down in paper. And then I think, Guy, one of those things that has been an extremely valuable tool for us is at the end of the day or at the end of the week, before I review what I've got going on the next day or start thinking about what I'm going to be planning on for the next week, I actually do what we call internally a retrospective, right? In this case, on our sheet that we use, it's called a review. So I would go through a review and I would look at, okay, what was my number one goal for this week? What was my number one goal for last week? Did I hit that goal? Because here's the reality. If you're setting a goal for yourself for the week, you should be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 on your confidence level that you're going to hit that goal this week. And if you can't say, I'm an 8 out of 10, or I'm a 7 out of 10 that I'm going to hit this goal, and it's to enroll 5 people in my business this week or gain 5 new customers, then the reality is you've just made a goal too big for yourself. You want to be, in fact, a 10 out of 10 confidence level that you're going to knock out that goal. Why? Next week, you can always crank that goal up or that dial up a little bit, but you're going to be beating yourself up a little bit if you don't hit that goal when you look back on the previous week. Because if your one thing that you want to accomplish this week is that one goal, then you need to be a 10 out of 10 that you'll hit that goal, and you'll start to build momentum as you strike those weekly goals off of your list. Same thing when you get to the daily basis, right? I know what I've got a call every day that might be a live Zoom call that you guys are all invited to join on, but I've got other things, phone calls, emails, meetings, Zooms, live that are going out throughout my day. And I set a daily goal to check off as many of those items. And here's the reality, everybody, chaos happens, but in that, there's a good book that we were reading after James Clear guy, A 12-Week Year, which is a great book anybody can check out. But one of the statistics that came out of that book, and you're talking to a guy who's a perfectionist, is even if you're doing 65% of the progress, you're on a path and a trajectory that will inevitably take you to your goal. The reality is maybe it's going to take you twice as long, but you're still moving in that direction. And the one thing we don't want to be doing is standing still. If we're not doing anything, and Guy, you hit this all the time, it's action, it's work, that 4-letter word that we don't like to talk about, work, you compound that with another 4-letter word, hard, and you've got hard work that you put in. But as long as you're checking things off and getting things done, you're making forward progress. And then you come back, you do a review. Did I hit my goal? How easy was it to hit that goal? Reflect on that. If your goal last week was to do 1 sale, and you did that on Monday, your goal this week might be to do 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever that is, but set it at a confidence level of 10 out of 10. Also celebrate some victories when you're reviewing last week. Are there things that you did do? You did do well. Maybe you surpassed your expectation. This is something we can all take an opportunity to do, because whatever gets measured gets managed. So really what we're doing is we're looking back on the previous week and looking at the progress that we made, so we can look for that 1% incremental daily improvement. And when you think about that from James Clear's perspective on Atomic Habits, 1%, if you did that every day, just a little incremental change on the things that you're doing. How could I do this 1% better with every action that you're taking? In a 10-day period, you'd be 10% better. That's not double, but it's 10%. If you did it over 20 days, 20% better. That's why they say after a year, you're about 37 times better than where you started the year at just by doing 1% a day. Situations that you encountered that you handled correctly, review those things, right? Progress you made on maybe those 4 or 8 that you had in play, whether they were prospects or existing customers, etc., right? Team members, maybe you have to outreach people and you're interacting with a team on a continual basis. I know if you're part of our affiliate program, you have a team that you can override. When is the last time you reached out to one of them and offered support, checked in, see if they needed help or needed to be plugged into anything? There are so many opportunities for us to lean in and be involved on a daily basis on whatever we are doing, as long as they're in alignment with our goals. And again, you want to be breaking down your goals for all areas of your wheel of life. But let's talk, Guy, briefly just about the weekly plan and how simple this can be. Okay. And we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. You don't need to have 100 things that you have to get done this week. In fact, if you focused on a handful of win list items every day, 3 to 4 items a day that you said, this is the most important thing, and everything else is a distraction, and you just focused on those things, what would those things be? Is it, I need to follow up with this handful of people? And if you were with us last Monday, you know you can log right into your Shuffle account. You can go to your contacts. You can sort your contact list by upcoming follow-up. and you've got an itemized list of everybody you need to follow up with. If you're doing it another way, great if it's working for you. But if you haven't found a way to organize those relationships, Shuffle wants to step in and support you on that. So maybe it's implementing the follow-ups and taking the notes and setting those expectations in your Shuffle so that it becomes very easy. I'm going to block time to follow up with people every single day. Again, Guy speaks to a system. If I block time every single day, and your schedule is your schedule, it might be first thing in the morning, it might be at lunch, it might be throughout the day, but you block it in and you say, in order to win today, I need to check this off the list. Same thing for any other aspect, right? Guy and I, we focus on physical health. Both of us have already knocked a workout out this morning. We get to check that off the list. It's a big win. It makes us feel better personally. And we don't have to worry about it till tomorrow. You only get one chance to do that action today. So do it to the best of your ability. Maybe it's outreach. Do you have an event you're going to? Are there networking events, trade shows, things like that you're going to be out with? Are you interacting with clients today? And how are you going to lean into those clients? Here's the reality. Every single one of your customers is a conduit to your next customer. If you think about that, if they love what you do for them, they will tell somebody else and they will be your biggest brand champion. This assumes one thing, that you're servicing your customers to the best of your ability and giving them a reason to go out and promote you. If you want them to promote you, you might as well empower them with something to promote. So make sure they're walking away with your card. Hey, it was so great to meet with you today. I'm so glad I could help you out. Hey, let me ask you something. I'm looking for more customers. If I gave you my digital business card, would you mind sharing that out with one person you think could use my service? Ask yourself, what impact would that have in your business this week if that happened once every day? Again, these are all opportunities, but we have to make a plan around executing on those things. So Guy, I'm going to get off my soapbox as usual, throw it back over to you, and feel free to add anything you want.
I think one of the biggest things from setting your day up, setting your week up is expect the unexpected, right? There are more unexpected calls out of the blue, Zooms that we get invited to talk on behalf of LFI for, say, a network, for a group. So we have that within our plan, and it's all based on the network here, the community sharing information out and maybe needing support. Well, here we are for your support, but also take it from your standpoint and being a Shuffle user within the LFI Nation is by sharing this information out. And like ER was saying, people will see the value that you can bring to them in a marketing, in a networking space. Everyone's looking for more customers and clients. You always hear about it every day that there's some type of Zoom webinar where you can come on, it's free to join, and at the very end, pay us $1,500 and we'll tell you how to get more customers and clients and the big ticket items and those different types of things. But knowing that just by sharing information, sharing it to your warm market, sharing it to your cold market, that there's a likelihood you're going to start getting outreach from people saying, I would like to see how I could potentially implement your system into my daily method of operation. And it would amaze you how it happens when you just take some of those simple daily steps. Maybe it's sharing on a social platform. Maybe it's requesting suggestions of what your content looks like. And if someone would make a suggestion, not only in our community, but in other communities, you would be amazed if you just go into Facebook and look at work at home opportunities and how many groups that there are, or people looking for technical systems. So when we look at our week in review or day in review, we knew that because we expected the unexpected to happen, that we could only do a certain amount during that day to progress forward. But we knew that we probably went 2, 3, 4 times in progression. Like we expanded it so much based on knowing that we're out here being active. I think on our sheet, the biggest thing for me being a coach is if I was my own coach at the end of the day, at the end of the week, what would I say to myself?
Yeah.
What have I done? Can I be that person looking in the mirror and be true to myself that I progress by 1%, by 5% by the end of the week? Did I actually take some steps to do those? And if I didn't, what can I do to adjust those? And I would probably say a lot of it's going to come down to, we talk AMP, Scott, that's something that we go through. We have a weekly AMP meeting with your team. It's knowing that you have the right attitude going into each day, that the moment is now, and that there's just a simple process. And it might just be adjusting a lever here and there. That we talked about it on Friday with the founders, the $300 million button, making content adjustment. Maybe it's one button that's going to attract the 10, 20 people that are in a cold market to say, I would like to see more or talk more about what we do. But it's just really having the right mindset, knowing that your influence on yourself shouldn't be overweighed by anyone else's. You're the one in control, and that there's a fairly simple system that can help people get their networking expertise at a higher level, and being able to do it with curating content. And you have a pretty cool little platform to be able to do it on.
Yeah, I agree, Guy. And I think the first step for all of us, if you're not doing it already, is to implement it for yourself. You got to implement Shuffle for yourself. You've got to use it every single day. You've got to think about the areas of your daily method of operation where you're going to be using it, right? A portion of it might just be getting the notifications on who to follow up with and stay in that loop and keep people within that loop, but you're doing it and you're using it. The same thing with your outreach, generating new prospects. Maybe you're using campaigns with lead capture forms and you're prospecting every single day. Maybe it's online networking events or offline things, and you try to go to business networking groups or masterminds or other things like that, but you want to go into it equipped with leveraging the right tools so that you can be successful out of it. And Guy, I love what you said, where it's like, when you do a retro, talk to yourself as if you're your own coach. You know what I mean? And I've had some great coaches in my life, and some will be critical. Hey, here's where there's room to improve. In fact, I'm probably the most critical on myself. And I know anybody who has their own self-talk might be a little bit critical on themselves. I think the other thing is, the coaches that I've had that have been encouraging. I know that you guys can do it, right? You just have to get out there and put in the work, is what they would say, right? You're not going to get anywhere sitting on the bench watching the rest of the team practice or play. You got to learn the skills, run the drills, and then get out there and be ready to play. So ask yourself, do I feel like I've got some shortcomings? If you're not using the technology because you don't know how to use it, Tech Tuesdays at 2 p.m. with Kathy Inman. That's my first response to anybody who gives that excuse. Because, Guy, in my mind, that's what it is. It's an excuse. I don't do it because I don't know how to do it. Guys, there are so many things that I didn't know how to do until I learned how to do them. You want one, for example, my daughter just did it riding a bike, right? I didn't step on a bike and automatically I'm riding 20 miles an hour in a straight line. I had to pick up the tool, which was the bicycle. I had to learn how to use it. Heck, there was somebody else who showed me, much like I just showed my daughter. And this is applicable to all areas of your life, specifically business. If you don't know how to build a card, get on Tech Tuesdays with 2. Dive into the social groups. Get on the YouTube channel. Play around and figure it out. It is not rocket science, right? If you don't know how to monitor your contacts in Shuffle, join us on Tech Tuesday at 2. Learn how to upload your contacts, create all those notes, set those follow-up reminders, right? If you don't know how to schedule or make a plan, this is what this call is all about. Open up your calendar, start blocking in time on when you're going to do stuff and put that list together. Guy, you talked about the unexpected expectancies. We talked about this when we were implementing the plan at the beginning of the year on some of the scheduling stuff. And a good rule of thumb, maybe allocate 60% of your time to go out there and be focused on the work that you're planning for, and leave yourself 40% flex space, because things are going to pop up, and they might pop up in the middle of the time that you've scheduled to do something else. Well, then you're going to go back during that flex time and take care of those other items when they pop up. That flex space is really important. And, Guy, even me, I write down just a quick daily list of the things I need to get done, and it's in that priority win list order. So when I've got that 40% flex time upon me and there's not some inbound call or distraction, I can use that time accordingly to go through this list and chip away at those items as well. And then I'm coming back at the end of the day. Did I win the day? That's a good question to ask yourself every single day, guys. Did I win today? It's a simple question. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth at night. You can do it when you're laying your head down on your pillow. Did I win today? And I'll tell you, it doesn't take much to win the day, but you have to be at that 65% or above. You know what I mean? From the 12-week year, let's say I've got 10 tasks. Did I get 6 to 7 of them done today? You know what I mean? Maybe I didn't get everything today, but I can still win the day. And then you win the week by winning more days than you lost. It's that simple, but you got to get out there and start doing the actions. So Guy, I don't know, I want to beat a dead horse here, obviously. We do encourage everybody to get out there and make their plan. I do want to open this up. If there's anybody with a question, a comment, a tip for the rest of the community, maybe you're making a plan for the first time, or you want accountability on what is on your plan right now that you're going to have done by Friday. We would love to hear that. So there's a reactions button on Zoom. You can raise your hand. Ruben, I think I just saw you raise your hand in real life. Go on ahead. Take the floor.
As part of the networking group community, I was told over and over again that leaders are readers. So I got into the habit now of, well, as you mentioned, ER and Guy, that you mentioned a couple of references. Here's another reference that I'm reading now, and I went into the library to get this baby.
Yeah.
And the reason being, I got 6 weeks to read it.
Yeah.
Because I got to give it back to them. But this particular one here, High Performance Habits by Bouchard, they give you a free assessment that you take in it, and it's just incredible. But it has really gotten me now to focus in on the 60% accomplishment daily, and then reward myself accordingly. So again, it's a work in progress. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And look, I think that's a great tip, Ruben, for everybody, right? Pour into yourself. Whether you go to the library, guys, there's no excuse. Library is pretty much free. If you live in that county, you can go and they'll give you a book for 6 weeks, and you can go through everything that book has. I think about the education that I spent 6 figures on, and I think, wow, I could get the same information, the same knowledge if I just went and locked myself into a library. So you don't use not knowing as an excuse. You go in and you fill the gaps and identify them. Ruben now has a goal. He has 6 weeks of a window to finish that entire book, and then to take the knowledge that he gains from that and implement it just like he was talking about. Like, that's all we're talking about here, everybody, is you go forward, you make a plan, right? And then you pour yourself into executing on that plan and checking those items off. And Ruben, you may read periodically throughout the day. You may find I read at a certain time every day. I'm a person, I drop my kids off on Mondays and Wednesdays, and sometimes I'll go to Automobile University, even though I work or I work in the house. I work virtually. I have to drop my kids off, do a long loop around the state park and listen to an audiobook as if I'm commuting, just so I can make sure 2 days a week I'm pouring into myself. That's a habit that I do and did this morning, and we'll do again on Wednesday. So these are things that you want to get your system in place, lay it all out, make sure it's addressing all of your goals and that balance of that wheel of life, right? What are you doing for yourself personally, physically, mentally, spiritually, for your family, for your business, for your career, for your finances? All 7 of those categories, you want to be doing something that's going to pour into that on a daily basis. And you want to be relentlessly consistent, right? That's the Edwin quote that I love, relentlessly consistent on that. You can always come back and turn the dial up, but you're not going to make forward progress unless you're consistently doing those things. Again, I'm going to walk every morning. That was my one goal for the year. Why is it a walk? Because I knew a 10 out of 10, I can get my butt out of bed and go for a walk every single day. And what I also know is if I do that 65% of the way, even 50% of the way, and it's a mile every day in a year, I'm going to walk close to 150 miles. You know what I mean? If I do it more often than not, maybe I'm getting close to 300 miles. And I'm sitting there going, am I going to be better off physically by doing that than if I just sat on the couch? My vote is yes. We will see a year from now, but I've already made a massive amount of progress when I come back and I reflect on just that portion. Same thing with my calls or my outreach. If you measure this stuff, you're going to realize, wow, when I do call 10 people every single day, guess what? The numbers are going to start to give you a feedback loop, and it's going to say, wow, it results in these new prospects or this new customer, et cetera. But if you don't do any calls at all, I just don't feel like it today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Whatever that excuse is, you're not going to get the result of implementing the action. And that's all it is. Implement the action, get the result, be relentlessly consistent on implementing the actions on a daily basis, and it will speed you up on the progress it will take to get that end result. And then come back and look on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, half year to review that forward progress and make a decision. Do I need to adjust any of my levers? Am I setting goals too big for myself and am I avoiding them because I know I'm not going to accomplish them? Or am I knocking it out of the park and I'm winning 100% of every single day? Great. Now it's time to turn it up a little bit and double my calls, triple my outreach, do all those things. You will start to build momentum as you check things off your list, guys. I can guarantee you that. I know it for myself, Guy. I know it for you. Once you get going, I don't even think about getting up at 5 a.m. anymore. Sometimes I'll wake up before the alarm goes off and I'm like, no, might as well just jump into it. It becomes a habit. And once it's a habit, guys, oh my gosh, now it becomes almost subconscious, right? We start to go into these things that we do that just let us live the life that we wanted to live, you know, going back to Guy's quote there. So Guy, I'm going to throw it over to you to wind this thing down unless there are any other questions or comments from anybody.
You know, I do see a comment, and Shelley, I'm going to point yours out because I think it's a great one. And I know not everyone is able to see it because they're not live on here and on the Zoom, but for everybody who's going to be watching this later on YouTube, is what Shelley does is she's made an hourly, daily, weekly planner, and she writes everything in pencil at first. Mm-hmm. Then she goes through and writes it in pen. And I think there's so much within your mental mindset, that's basically the exact same thing, your mind frame, that when it's in pen, it's more established. It's more something that I can't erase. I can't go back and change. And that's something that is, I am putting it down basically in concrete that I'm going to get this done. This is my goal. This is my plan. And then, you know, I'm reading through this, paraphrasing it, planning everything else around it, keeping you focused on your track. And one of the best things I love about it is it makes you less anxious about forgetting stuff and not getting stuff done. That's so huge from the aspect of writing things down. You don't forget about things. You don't, the expected, unexpected things become less anxious for you because you had your plan, but you also know that if I get a call out of the blue, if I get a message, an email of someone who's interested in something that I do, it's easier to reply back to them and give them information. One thing, I wrote it down 2 years ago, and I've been following it for 2 years now, and it's my morning routine. And I actually had to go back in my notes, and my notes on my computer are shared through my phone. It's the Apple thing, but being able to recall those, but it is so much of a routine in my daily life now that it's second nature to me that I actually had to step back and say, what is that? So I can and repeat it, and I'll repeat it here. And then what I'll do is I'll go write it. I'll put it in a comment on the YouTube channel of what my daily routine is. The first one, it's a combination of of either reading or listening. And it's in combination with movement. So I take an hour every morning to do listening and working out. So during my workout, I have my phone, I have a speaker, it's on play of podcasts, of inspirational type things that get my day going. Then after my workout, I sit down, I stretch, and I take 10 minutes and plan my day in detail. Okay, we have these sheets, we have our notes, we get them, we write them in pen, so we can visualize how we're going to deliver each major activity for excellence for that day.
Yep.
That's just 10 minutes. Then I do 5 minutes of meditation. I have Headspace on my phone. I do 5 minutes of meditation or prayer. Faith is a big thing in my family's life, our life, our community. Faith is a big thing. There's a higher purpose. There's a higher being out there for what we do, and knowing that through faith, we will be able to achieve what we want to. And then 5 minutes, and it was silly at first to me. I took 5 minutes reciting and speaking out loud with force my values, or a powerful motivational passage or affirmations. And then I wrote at the very bottom, then win the day. That is how I set my day up. And I go about it that way each and every day, to the fact I had to go back and read what I had written down, knowing my steps and what I stay to. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't simple. Actually, it wasn't easy. But it was simple to do. And I fell off the wagon a few times.
Yep.
That first 2, 3, 4 months of doing it, there were multiple times where I had to go back and figure out what my day is like again. And being able to say, I can adjust this at any time, but this is what my values are and where I want to work forward in my personal life, in my business. And being able to say, it's a pretty simple process to be able to implement, and just doing it consistently, we see improvements. We see improvements physically, mentally, and to the point of being able to inspire yourself. There's no one that can inspire me more than myself. There's no one that can tear me down more than myself. Mm-hmm. And knowing that I'm going to set my week up, I'm going to set my day up, and I've got my plan in place to win the day.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, Guy. And again, if you were listening to this, that's 2 years. You know what I mean? It took a month or two to dial it in a little bit and get consistent, but 2 years in, now it's become so habitual, you're not even thinking about it. You're living it. You're practicing it every day. And I think this would be the question that I have for anybody watching this. What do you like the idea of, and what can you put into practice? I remember I was reading a book, and the lady was giving an example, and she says, I love the idea of yoga. I've got the clothes, I've got the water bottle, but I don't practice yoga. So she's not going to get any of the benefits, even though she likes the idea of it. And guys, we want you to get the benefits of everything, right? We want to get you the benefits of the technology in promoting and supporting everything that you do with your primary focus. We want to give you the benefits of the affiliate program and implementing that to create passive residual income. If you like the idea of it, that's step one, right? We're all on this call because we like the idea of these things. But step two is, are you putting it into practice? I've got a morning routine much like Guy. It's not the exact same routine. It's my routine. And this is the whole thing. You need to develop what your routine is. If you like the idea of a daily motivation, are you practicing it? And where and when are you practicing it? Like Guy, I get up. The first thing I do is straight into a stretch and meditation. I've got chronic back pain. I've got an inversion table. I put in my headphones. I go down to the dark space of the basement and I invert myself. And I hang for 30 minutes listening to meditative music and giving myself a chance to focus on my breath and sort of come up for the day. After that, I'm going straight into my workout because that's the most important physical thing that I want to make sure I check off the list. And again, I like the idea of it. I've always liked the idea of that person who gets up early and checks the most important thing off their list. If you like that idea, the next question is, are you implementing it? Then I'll implement it. A wheel of life, family is massively important. It's part of our biggest why. I know that guy on your end as well. So as soon as I'm done with my workout, I'm spending breakfast with my family and having some family time. You know, we've got to get the kids ready and off to school. Maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you don't have to deal with some of that stuff. What is that thing for you that's going to allow you to have full balance? But then comes about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and it's time to plug in for work. And that's part of the practice, right? I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to close my door over here. I'm going to come into my sacred workspace and I'm going to get focused. I'm going to turn off some distractions and I'm going to start looking at what do I have on my list today? And typically I've already gone through that sort of in between my workout and breakfast when I'm skimming through the calendar on my phone to see everything that I have going on so I can mentally prepare and get ready. Attitude, moment, process of what Guy was talking about. Amp myself up going in for the day. Heck, I've got a great business partner and we take a daily opportunity right before we kick everything off to connect with each other. It takes us 5 minutes. Hey, what's on your win list? What's on my win list? Is there anything you're blocked on or you need my help on, etc.? Do you have a call with somebody you need me to help with? We go through that every single day, relentlessly consistent. And that's what helps us get forward progress. The question is, what are you implementing? What are you practicing? Put that down on your plan for this week and for today and start going after it. If you laid that out for the week, here's my promise to you, everybody. If you've listened thus far, you say, yes, I know, I agree with everything you're saying. Lay it out. Do it for 1 week. Write everything down. Put it in pencil, then turn it to pen. Start striking through everything. And at the end of the week on Friday, I want you to take an opportunity to retrospectively look over your progress for that week. You don't need to get 100% of the things done, guys, okay? And I don't want you to beat yourself up if you don't, right? I'm just as hard on myself as anybody could be, and I fall into that trap all the time. I just didn't get 100% done. I can't believe it. You know what I mean? If you get half of what you wanted to get done, put a big W for the week. That's step one. And then next week, guess what? Try to get a little bit more than half done. Just incrementally improve. You're probably going to be running the same system every week. Guy, our system doesn't change. That's why we've been implementing it for you, your morning routine for 2 years. You know, my morning routine is the same thing. We're just implementing a routine. Now I write it down just to make sure I'm showing everybody because I already know it. This is the reality when it becomes this subconscious habit to you, but it's only going to become that way if you start down that path. And every journey begins with one step. So your goal might be just writing down your list of win items for today, but do it. Put it into action. Check it off. Celebrate the victories. Reflect on where you can improve, and then reset each new day. That's the process. That's the system. There are plenty of skills throughout that system that you're going to learn so that you can implement your plan more effectively, right? You might learn some sales skills with Mindset of a Champion, how to build the trust process, how to have a great phone call with people, how to generate new leads. These are all skills that you implement into your system. This is how it all boils down, everybody. It doesn't get any more complex than that. That's why, Guy, you always say it is so simple. It's not easy. It requires effort. It requires work. It requires hard work on some days. And some days you're going to fire yourself like we talked about at the beginning of this. You can do that as long as you're willing to rehire yourself tomorrow and get back into it. And if you've been watching this far, you'll notice that what we've been talking about isn't specific to just LFI, the LFI affiliate program, Shuffle. This is for every single area that you want to make forward progress on. We're not going to be the ones that say you have to be focused on only LFI. We want you to have balanced success. But that means broadly focusing on everything and making sure that you're taking an opportunity to chip away at those things. So again, I can't stress it enough. We're so passionate about this because we know that it will yield a predictable result. And that predictable result will be called forward progress towards wherever you want to go. And the wherever you want to go is entirely 100% up to you. You're the one who's setting what that direction is. So, Guy, I know we've got about 15 minutes left to the top of the hour. I don't think we need to waste the time. Instead, I'd rather give that 15 minutes back to whoever's watching this. Make sure you use this last 15 minutes to use this discussion as inspiration and motivate yourself to go out there and execute a plan, put it together and start chipping it off. We don't have any more calls for today. That was your call to action with Monday Sprint Planning. Tomorrow, we're going to have Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. with Kathy Inman. I encourage you to join that. If you haven't found the Week at a Glance card, you can go into the templates and type in WAG or bit.ly/shuffle-WAG is the short link for this Week at a Glance. Guys, check it off your list. You all get a W for sprint planning. Mark it down. Celebrate the victory, everybody. You made it. Congratulations. Tuesday, Tech Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. Adjust for your time zone wherever you're calling in for. If you don't know the tech, this is the call to be on. We want you to learn how to use the solution. Wednesday, Global Edge Coaching. If you're plugging into Mindset of a Champion, I just encourage you carve out a little bit of time on Wednesday to check that out and pour into yourself. Thursday, we do a Roundtable Mastermind. We want to solve each other's problems collectively as a group and as a community. If you have a problem that you're working on, bring it to the roundtable and we can all work on it together. That's what the whole goal of a community is we help uplift each other. And that'll bring us back to our fourth live call of the week, which is Friday with the founders. Obviously, if you joined us last Friday, you got to hear a bunch of great information. We also talked about a new release that we have going on this week. That new release is our TAP by LFI. We know a lot of you on this call are already using your LFI TAP cards, these NFC cards to go out and promote. You're probably sharing it with a lot of other people every time you create that magic by sharing. Know that starting this week, you have a place where you can send people to if they are interested, okay? And that's lfi.com/tap. And you can put in there what your invite code is, what your affiliate ID is, and get credit for all of that. So this is live. This is available. You can push orders. One of the big things to remember with this, if somebody is enrolling to get these TAP cards, it will automatically create a free Shuffle account with them. So they're going to have a card to connect to their TAP. After that, it will work to accelerate them into a premium service so that they can have more cards or contacts or notifications. But we're on a mission, guys. Let's get the word out about these things. Let's show people how we use them in our lives every day to connect with people, to network and to market, guys. Very, very powerful. And then plug into some of these other calls. There's only 3 other calls this week that we've got going on, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We hope to see you guys on those calls.
Awesome. So with that, everyone have a great day, great week. We'll chat with you when we do. Everyone have a good